Okay, in this video I'm going to do problem number 6 shown here. You can see all over the screen the remains of problem 5 from the last video. But in problem 6 we're just asking which of these functions, 18, 26 of them, are one-to-one, which are onto, and which are bijections. And so when we're looking at one-to-one, we're interested in looking at the columns. So when I evaluate whether or not F2 is one-to-one, I look at its column here. And for one-to-one, we're looking for a column with no repeats. And for onto, we're looking for a column that contains every single element of the range. And bijections are those which are both one-to-one and onto. And we know that you can have a bijection only if the domain and the range have the same size. And so we see that A, B, and C all have the same size. So it's possible that the F functions, which map from A to B, and that the G functions from B to C are either one-to-one or onto or both, and therefore bijections. But the H functions couldn't possibly be bijections, okay? They couldn't possibly be one-to-one either because there's only two elements in the range of the H functions, and so since there are three rows here, that is, there are three elements in the domain, we're always going to have a repeat. We're always going to have either a 0 or a 1 repeating in these columns here. Okay, so none of the H functions could be onto. So let's just look at the F functions and look for all three of the elements X, Y, and Z in a column. Nope. We've got repeats, repeats, repeats. Here we have X, Y, and Z. So F6, here we have two X's repeating. Here we have an X, Y, and a Z again for F8. And we have a repeated Z here in F9. So it's F6 and F8 are the ones that are one-to-one. How about the G functions? We're looking for no repeats. It repeats everywhere. G6, alpha, beta, gamma, and G8, very similar. Okay, and finally, F functions, we're looking for no repeats. For the H functions, we're always going to have repeats because the domain, because the range is smaller than the domain. So there are no H functions in the one-to-one list. Okay, let's do the onto list. And for onto, we're looking for all three elements, or all elements of the range. And it turns out that to get all three elements, they're all going to be different. It's the same F6 and F8, and G6 and G8. Okay, we're looking for, and so when you have the domain and the range of the same size, looking for no repeats is essentially the same as looking for all elements of the range being there. So it's the same functions, F6, F8, G6, and G8. And the H functions, all of them except for two of them are onto, and we're looking for both a 0 and a 1 in a column. So the only ones that don't have both a 0 and a 1 are H1 and H8. Okay, and so we have H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and H7. All are onto. And for bijections, sorry I'm out of space here, but we're looking for those that are both one-to-one and onto, and that includes F6, F8, G6, and G8. Okay, that solves this problem, and hope that helps.